Hey everybody, I'm Mary Delgado, the host of the Blockchain Herd. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. Please don't forget to hit the like button. Really appreciate all your comments and your suggestions. Today I have a great guest. I'm super excited about this. His name is Tobin Lent. He's a VP over at Tops Digital. And I'm just going to ask him some different questions about himself and what's upcoming at Tops. Hopefully he'll give us a little insight or some little breaking news information that we can pass along to you. So without further ado, I want to say welcome, Tobin.
Hi, Mary. It's great to be on your show. I'm excited.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm learning so much about NFTs, digital cards. I already knew Tops and I knew, the baseball cards and everything that you have to do, but super excited about the things that you have upcoming. And I know that you have some that you can't talk about, so hopefully you'll be able to tell me a little bit as we continue our discussion.
Absolutely. Hopefully, I have some interesting things to share with you.
Yeah. So let's start off first, Tobin, by you telling us a little bit about yourself, how you came to join Tops and where you were. So let's start with that.
Sounds great. Well, most of my career has been in mobile games, and I started out very early in the space. Really was one of the folks creating the very first mobile games on mobile networks in North America. So that kind of dates me a little bit, but got started very early doing some arcade ports within television titles, Midway, Space Invaders, those kinds of titles. But really then went on to build my own companies, as kind of CEO founder in that space. And I had a couple successful companies. So I just really love the technology, really love games because it's a great fusion of entertainment and technology, and usually on the cutting edge of both. So I was always drawn to games and really specifically the mobile platform. And
So
so I did that
having
for
those two things, a techie at heart and loving games, you kind of merge those two things together.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, that was kind of my journey before Tops. And then the opportunity at Tops came up, and I was really excited about it because obviously, I love Tops. I looked at their properties, just incredible. I'm a nerd at heart, and those were some of my favorite properties, Marvel and Star Wars, Disney. And then on the sports side, I love watching sports. We had MLB and NHL. So it was kind of really exciting to me. And what was most exciting, I think, is to really come to Tops to build this really big opportunity in digital collectibles, and take Tops kind of into the future. And even when I began 2 years ago, I was really excited about blockchain. And so here we are, and we did make our first move. So I'm pretty excited about it.
So what initially got you into blockchain? As it's 10 years old now, but what originally got you into blockchain? And then obviously you migrated on to Tops to introduce that the digital space to Tops.
Right. So I think when I joined Tops 2 years ago, and early on, basically my job right now is to manage a portfolio. My primary job, a portfolio of mobile apps at Tops with those properties I just mentioned. But when I first joined, blockchain was also was a very interesting space for us, and I think it had some unique characteristics that were a little bit different. But most importantly, we were very excited about the secondary market. So traditionally, we'd never been able to participate in that. So at the very beginning, I was interested in blockchain, and it was really a matter of finding a place to start. And as you know, the space is always changing and shifting, new platforms, new technologies, which wallet, which provider. So it took us some time to kind of figure out where to start, and that's where we landed on Wax as a really good partner.
So you're talking about landing on Wax because you could have gone to different platforms. And I remember because I saw a lot of videos where you were talking about how you decided to go into what platform. It's interesting to me how you chose Wax, and that goes back to the community. How Wax treats their community, and that's very important to you. So tell us about that story.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think there were some good platforms with good technology. Obviously, we worried about Ethereum. and the scalability issues there, gas prices and those kinds of things. But what really drew us to Wax from the beginning is that they had run a digital marketplace around games already. And they really focused on the user experience. And, we checked their ratings on their platform very high. And so that's something that's very important to us. And we knew they would do a good job in a very difficult space. And so that's really why we decided to partner with them, and a really good team too, very easy to work with. There's a lot of difficult problems to sort out in this space. And they've always been very good at working with us and solving problems.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to interview Ben, and I mean, what a great guy. And he's always talking about, as are you, about the community and how important it is for you to really listen to your customer. I think that ultimately is what's really going to make everything successful, is if you really listen, right?
Right. That's absolutely right. And I tell my team this all the time, and I always felt this way with all of my game companies, and I feel that way here, is that we're doing this for the fans. That's why we exist, to really serve them and try to delight them with great content and new things. So it's really about that. So we do listen, quite a bit. And luckily, there are so many great channels to kind of directly communicate with fans and listen, Telegram and, Twitter and Instagram and all these other places.
Yeah. So, we're talking about when we were kids, like when I was a kid. I'm a tomboy at heart, as I was sharing with you. And I remember, and I believe Topps is who started really baseball card trading, right? I remember having cards, and one would be, let me have that card, for that card, and you would even take them, and I think you would throw them, and I remember throwing them against a wall or something, and then whoever got closest to the line, I would get their card. So it was a lot of fun. So I also know, oh God, what is his name? I think it's, is it Novogratz who collects cards? Who's the one that has all these cards? He's always talking about trading his cards. So
there's a lot of them out there.
So he really should get into the digital space, because it's so much easier for you in trading and buying too. Instead of having the physical card, the digital card is a lot easier. So do you see where you're going to get into you have a lot in the mobile app space, where a lot of those mobile apps are going to go to cards?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you look at our mobile apps today, there's a lot in there, but really, our big vision in the digital group is about community. It's about building a community of fans that love to connect and collect with each other around these, the things that they love, like Star Wars. And what's great about digital is that community is, instantly available. It's global, and you can trade anytime. And so it's very different than the physical space, where you do trade, but it's kind of, maybe it's more local. I mean, now there are things like, eBay where you can trade, but, we're really about fostering that community and enabling people to connect with each other and, share the things they like in their collections and trade to complete a set. So we see a lot of that in our mobile apps.
So who I was thinking of was Gary Vaynerchuk. That's the one that he's always talking about. He's got this card and that card. I'm like, dude, why don't you just get into the digital space? It'd be so much easier for you.
Right. Absolutely.
So what was your favorite card that you had growing up as a kid, and then your favorite card now in the digital space?
Well, you know what? It's interesting you mentioned that. Hold on a second.
Uh-oh.
So when I was young, I used to love Cal Ripken.
Oh, wow.
And so what was neat about that, and I try to get all of his cards, but I with this new project 2020 that we have going on, where very famous artists reimagine these great players in these traditional cards. This Matt Taylor did this rendition of Cal Ripken. I don't know. It's going to be hard to see it with the background, but let me see.
Put it in front of your body.
Huh?
Put it in front of your body. There you go. Oh, wow. Look at that
card. And I absolutely love it. And I just got it. So this is now my new favorite card. But yeah, I mean, it's always fun.
Are you going to make that digital?
Well, we're working on that.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Hey, hey,
No
I think
promises, but
that might have been something you heard on the blockchain herd.
But this is something we're actually doing a lot more of, which I love. Talking to these really famous artists. If you looked at our Digicon Fan Fest that we put on a couple of weeks ago, we've been working with these really famous artists, like Kevin John, who's a master Disney artist, to kind of reimagine some of our cards. And it's really fun to see what they come up with, and it really adds to the collectability with these unique and rare collectibles that people can chase. So
So is Disney heavily involved then, working with Tops and creation?
yeah, they really are, and they've been a really good partner. So obviously we have three partners, properties with them. We have Disney, we have Star Wars, and we have Marvel. So we work with them. They obviously approve. They look at everything that we do, and they approve it, but they also find content for us. For example, with Disney, I took my entire team out there and did a tour through the archives, so that we could actually get digitized versions of things that nobody had ever seen before. And we actually offered that in our app. And those kinds of things, are very special, and the things that we're trying to bring to collectors that you can't get anywhere else.
What about like Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck or something like that?
Absolutely. Those old, we actually went to, Walt, there's an archive where you have Walt Disney's original desk where he actually, sketched out some of those early, Mickey Mouses. And so we went into the archives and got some of those early drawings. And when we first launched the Disney app, we offered those up as collectibles. It was pretty remarkable.
Wow. So what are the latest NFTs that you can say that are going to be coming out soon?
Well, I will say, and you will hear it here first, I don't think we've announced a specific date. We have talked about end of September for our very special 35th anniversary of Garbage Pail Kids Series 2.
Oh,
But
wow.
we have locked into a date, and it's September 30th.
September 30th. I'll make sure that I put that on there in the description below. So you'll September. That's exciting because
Yep.
I know the with the first series. I mean, it was crazy how fast everything sold out, and then in the secondary market, that went even berserk. So tell us the story about how that came about because it was really exciting. I was part of the whole and even opening up packages. That was so much fun.
Yeah, it was fun for us because we had no idea what we were getting into. This was our first effort in blockchain with Garbage Pail Kids, which is a wonderful property, but it's an older property, and it just went out like wildfire, and it was fun. But I've said before, what got me the most excited about it was the development of the secondary market and how actively things traded, and then also the ecosystem that grew up so quickly. People, creating markets and all kinds of things to support that secondary market.
And you're talking about, support. It seems to me that you have so much support from the mobile side of it, like with Disney, and you're also the people that are on the board. It seems to me like they're very supportive of the direction that you're moving in the digital space.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm very fortunate because our CEO and our board, and a lot of people don't know this, but Michael Eisner, who was of course the CEO of Disney for 20 years, he bought Tops, and they're very supportive of this new digital space, and Tops generally is a very entrepreneurial company, but they've really shown a willingness to invest in new areas, and digital, of course, mobile apps is one, and blockchain is a big new area that we're looking at.
Okay, now let's go back to the NFTs and talking about the Garbage Pail Kids. How did you pick that one to be your first one?
That's a great question, Mary. And the reason for that is that's our own property.
Mhm.
And so we felt, again, blockchain was new for us. We didn't know what to expect, but if we went in with our own property, we could learn, and it would be with our own stuff,
Mhm.
as opposed to kind of going in with one of our partners' properties and taking the risk there. So we wanted to learn as much as we could before we started, talking to Disney and MLB about doing things in this space. So that's why we started with Garbage Pail Kids and have continued to use that property, which is a great property. I love it. I
Mhm.
think a lot of people do. But we have a little bit more freedom to experiment, I think, because it's our own property.
And then from there, I believe you moved on to Tiger King. Is that right?
That's right. So it was a parody. It was still a Garbage Pail Kids set, but it was a parody of Tiger King. We called it Goes Exotic. Really fun. But it was just kind of something we wanted to do kind of in between. We knew we were going to do series 2, but we wanted to do something in between so we could really plan a strong series 2.
Yeah, and who knew that that was going to blow? Well, first of all, watching the television, which I haven't even seen yet, I guess the TV series or show of Tiger King, I haven't seen it yet. But who knew that
Good, you
that was
should
going to
watch it.
blow up? What was that?
You should watch it. It's good.
I hear it's pretty weird, but and it's right here in Florida where I'm at. So so yeah, so who knew that it was just going to go as crazy as what it is? I again, the way that it just sold out so quickly. Like how fast was that? Was that like in 25 minutes? Is that right?
Yeah, it was in minutes, and actually technically it was faster than that. And what happened it really broke the technology and the credit card processing because these were coming in so fast
Yep.
that there was actually a backlog of transactions that needed to process, and so it
And
really sold out like more in like 10 minutes.
and
Uh,
how did you remedy that? Is there a fix for that? Because the next item that comes out in September, are you going to have that problem again?
well, it's a great question, and yet the answer is yes. We're looking at a couple different things. One is solved by technology, and one is solved by the way in which we sell it. And so
Mhm.
we're looking at both. And it's really important to us to be fair to everybody. I mean, the last thing that we want is to really have just maybe a few people getting a lot of the product. I mean, this is really meant to be. I know that a lot of folks like to take participate in the arbitrage
Mhm.
opportunity, but we
Mhm.
really feel it's important that the fans and the collectors all get a fair shot. And so that's going to be an important North Star for us.
Yeah, and there again, it goes back to how you're just thinking about your end user, right? That's important to you to make sure that you give everyone, an opportunity at these packs. So I
Absolutely.
really appreciate that very much, and that's one of the things that I really loved so much in talking to Ben is that he always brought it back around to the community, the end user, to really listening because I really believe that's how you're going to be successful. It's just by because the community thinks of things that you might have not thought of, right? So
Absolutely.
I appreciate that so much. I did have a question that came from the community actually, where they wanted to know how much closer some of your big IP is to making the leap to blockchain.
That's on everybody's mind. um, the answer is we've been actively talking to our partners since we started, with Garbage Pail Kids,
Hmm.
our first launch. And I can just say, no promises, but I can say that we're in very deep, active discussions with several of our partners, and there's a lot of interest. I think that the tide is kind of changing now. I think there was a lot of concern and trepidation before about blockchain just because there were so many unknowns. And I actually think, and I've said this before, that unfortunately because of coronavirus, they're taking a harder look at other opportunities in digital. And now they're being a little more open-minded to trying things out in blockchain. And
Right.
so I'm very optimistic that we'll do some things pretty soon.
So it's pretty interesting because we're in the coronavirus era, and a lot of people don't want to have the physical. I mean, you have two different sides, right? So some people don't want to have the physical; they want to have the digital. So that probably has helped in the effort of the digital space, I would imagine. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so in part. I mean, I'll tell you that. So my counterpart, who runs the physical business at Tops, David Liner, his business is on fire, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, and so there's been, I think, a lot of it is a lot of demand for baseball products because people can't go to the games and things like that. But I always see those things as two very different things, unique things. Digital collectibles are one thing, and physical collectibles are another. They provide different forms of enjoyment to people, and they're just kind of different.
Right.
So I actually think that they kind of coexist very
Yeah.
harmoniously.
So I imagine that in the digital space with baseball cards, that you can probably stats, for a player, you can probably update their stats in real time because it is a digital product. Is that right?
That's right. And we have a fantasy component in our sports apps, which is exactly that. So collect these cards, and then they have boosts on them, and then you can play them in a fantasy gameplay mechanic based on live games. And so they'll actually score, and you can participate in these contests, and you can win prizes, and it's a lot of fun.
Oh wow! So you have a game that's involved as well.
That's right.
Oh, I like that. Let's talk a
Just
little
like
bit about
fantasy
that because I
sports.
wasn't even aware of that.
Yeah, you can check it out. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, you can find that on the website.
You can get that on our apps. If you go to
Okay.
our apps on the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store and look for example, MLB Topps MLB Bunt,
Mhm.
you can download it, play it, and play some fantasy and collect some really cool digital collectibles.
Nice. So going back to the physical, as you have digital, will those be available also in the physical?
Not always. So we don't really have a one for one. Sometimes we'll team up and do some things like that. And I think around blockchain, and even the community's had some really good ideas around this. We do want to have some more tie-ins. So, for example, in a digital pack, there would be a special card that would unlock the ability to get a physical card, things like that. And that's the only place you could get that physical card. So we want to start to do more things like that.
Nice. Okay. Now, can you tell me, like, is there, what's your next level of what you could wish for Topps Digital? Like, if you had a crystal ball, like, what would you want to happen in the Topps Digital world?
Well, there's a lot going on in the Topps digital world. I think we have a couple things going on. We're really actively building out our mobile apps business, which is going really well. We're also into the blockchain space, and we're very optimistic about that. And there's just a lot to do. And I think there's a lot that we can do to help the industry overall by bringing our brands, by helping to create more ease of use. We have a lot of work to do on our very basic, DApp that we have out there, which is the kind of entry point for
Mhm.
collecting in blockchain. Very different than, and I know people have asked us before, our mobile apps are very feature rich, but on the blockchain, not so much yet, but we're working on that. So there's quite a bit to do on the blockchain side. And we're also very interested to see how it develops. It's changing all the time. So we're not quite sure where it's going to go. We just know that it's going to be big.
It changes so fast too. That's what's so crazy. It just everything changes like within minutes. So keeping up with that
You got to be on
is
your
a
toes.
challenge. What was that?
You got to be on your toes.
Yeah, yeah. It's a challenge, that's for sure. So there was a question that someone had asked as I asked on Telegram, and I kind of don't understand this. If you can explain this to me, but what they wanted to know if the physical packs were going to contain a redemption for the NFTs.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the reverse of the situation I talked about before, where if you bought a physical pack, you could actually get something in the blockchain. And what I like about that is that really brings people into the blockchain. And we actually were going to try to do that with Series 2, but we just couldn't match up to something that was going on the physical side. But that is something that I think is a really good mechanism to bring traditional physical collectors into blockchain. And that's something that we need to get better at. I think that's something we're going to try to do a lot more with Series 2,
Mhm.
is do more marketing around that to bring those people in. But it's going to take some work. It's new to them, and again, that easy on ramp has to be there in order for them to come in and participate in blockchain.
So you were talking about marketing. Do you find it a challenge to explain to those who don't understand blockchain, don't understand NFTs? Do you find it a challenge in trying to market and get the word out there about what your product is?
Yeah, a little bit. It really depends on the collector. I think the more traditional collectors and maybe just a little bit older, they're not used to that and they don't see the value of it. But it's difficult to explain the value proposition to them.
Sure.
But once they get into it and they do it once, then they get it. They realize it's something different, and they realize the benefits of having a digital collectible that you can trade with anybody all over the world at any time. So there's a lot of value to that. And it's just a matter of getting them to do it that first time. So
And you can do it instantly too. It's not like you have to wait for a physical card to come to you. I mean, it's instant.
That's right. I mean, I had to wait a very long time for my, very beloved, I'll put it in front of my shirt.
I'm going to heart that.
3 months because of the, shipping problems.
Looking at that card, there are some people that they just like to touch and feel and see and all that kind of stuff. So how is that challenge with the person that wants to touch and feel versus the digital? And that goes back, I guess, to the marketing using the digital space.
Yeah, it's different. Like I said, I think it's if you really take a lot of steps back, people collect for different reasons in a lot of different ways, right? And that's what's so beautiful about collecting. It means something different to everybody. And like for myself, I love collecting some physical things. And I have a lot of fun. I'm in all of our apps and I genuinely collect things because it's fun for me, particularly things like Star Wars and Marvel that I really love. Mm-hmm. So, but it's just a different experience. And I think that, it's really what we try to do is take advantage of those different mediums and create the best possible collecting experience that we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there are a lot of, collectors out there that collect a lot of different things. So speaking of collections, is there a new collection that you're going to launch soon that you can talk about?
Well, besides Series 2, I will say that, we're coming up on the end of the year. So that's what we're thinking about. And we're in some very interesting conversations. I unfortunately can't disclose anything now, but we're kind of excited.
Come on. I won't tell anybody.
I gave you Series 2.
You did.
But,
but a girl always wants more. I mean, I'm a girl.
I know, but you know what? What I could do is show you some of the cool stuff that's coming out in Series 2.
Oh, I would love that.
And
oh, wow. Look at that.
So it's not playing, unfortunately, for some reason.
I can see it.
Is it animating?
It's not. No, it's not animating. I see.
There,
there you go.
It worked. So it's a good time to talk a little bit about Series 2 because I know a lot of folks have concerns over inventory. So Series 1 was pretty good in terms of inventory. And I think what a lot of people don't understand about Series 1 is, look at it on a time scale. Really, we didn't release that much of Series 1. And if you think about it, today, maybe it seems like maybe it's even a little bit of a lot of inventory out there, but, we're assuming that wax is really going to grow. And so if you think about Series 1, not only is Series 1 the first series in Garbage Pail Kids in physical, it is the first time this has been minted on the WAXP blockchain. These are some of the first, the Series 1 cards are some of the first digital NFTs minted on the WAXP blockchain. That's pretty special.
That is beautiful.
Even more special. And so Series 2 is also a really important series in the Garbage Pail Kids line. If you look at the most valuable physical cards, most of them come from Series 1 and Series 2. And so, this is an important launch. And what we're doing is listening to the fans about the inventory concerns. And our solution to this is it is going to be a big release. However, what we're going to do with it is we're making it a very special 35th anniversary release. And we're going to really just put a lot into it. It's going to be chock full of goodies. And so, we're going to offer really good variants. I'll show you some of those. Okay. But we're also going to be putting a lot more in there that's special. So basically, it'll be a big release, but there will be a lot in there to chase. And so what that will do, if we get it right, and I think we will, is it will offer a lot of very unique, rare cards to go after, much more so than even Series 1. And will also kind of reduce the card counts on even the common cards. So they're still special. And so that's really the intent. And we're very excited about this.
Do you have a quantity in mind?
We don't yet. that I can disclose. But like I said, it's not really, so if you look at Series 1, I think there were 110,000 cards. And on Goes Exotic, it was almost, it was, I think, 240,000 cards. But really, what you have to look at is how many unique variants are in that number. And the problem with the Goes Exotic set, the issue that we found was we just had a lot fewer unique cards that were part of that much bigger card count.
Mm-hmm.
And so then folks would have, common cards with several thousand copies. And so it wasn't as valuable. And so it really comes down to, you could have, in theory, I'm not saying this is the number, but you could have a very large set. But if you had a lot of unique cards in there, then your card counts aren't that high across the board. And then a lot of people have a lot of unique cards to go after. So that's really what we're trying to structure with Series 2.
Oh, it's a beautiful card. It really is nice.
Yeah, so this here is, just to go back to what I'm showing, is the bubblegum variant. So we are going to be offering all new variants for Series 2. So it won't be like you found in Series 1. We wanted it to kind of change it up. This is our slime variant for Jolted Joel. It's kind of fun.
I like the names.
Yeah, Jolted Joel is actually
rocker.
one of my favorite characters in Series 2.
That's your fave?
One of them, yeah.
I like it. Look at that rocker.
It's good. And then we're also offering Relics, which we did do in Series 1, but they'll be very unique to Series 2.
I mean, the artist, it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful NFT.
Yeah, most of these were done by John Pound. And we've
John, you did a great job, John.
We've always been after him to get some, special SIGs and things, but he's in California and enjoying his secluded life.
That really is a beautiful.
These are my favorite ones. So what we've done here.
That's Godzilla.
It is Frying Ryan, who looks a lot like Godzilla. But we've actually gone and animated a lot of these cards, which is going to be a fun chase for fans, we think. And this is one of my favorites. I love the details here. The little, people at the bottom running for their lives. It's fun, and it really brings these characters to life in a new way that nobody's ever seen before.
Man, look at even the shadows on the people running away. So there's a lot of detail in there.
Yeah, for sure. It's great. And, this is one thing, Mary, that I really love about digital as opposed to physical. And this is one of the differences, is that there's really no limits on your creativity. Mm-hmm. We can do anything, and you can bring these characters to life. I mean, I think they had a lot of life in their static kind of physical form or even digital form, but when you can bring them to life like this, it just takes everything up a notch, and it just offers an incredible creative palette to do new things.
Yeah, you can be creative, and you can create a blockchain herd Mary card. I'm just saying.
Well, that's not a bad idea. We'll have to take that back to the team.
We'll talk after.
But I'll just show you a couple more here real quick. This is a Cyclops, again, another animated card. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, wow. Look at that. So look at the boat in the back, the ship in the back. I like
Just
that.
really nice touches here.
Are those baseball players running around? I can't tell, or is that I don't know what that is.
No, he might have. It kind of looks like he's got some baseball, old style baseball pants from the 1940s or 30s on there.
Yeah, and it looks like he's doing the Heisman pose too, kind of. I don't know.
I'm hoping it's going to help, but I don't know if it will.
That's really cool. Now, do you have any hidden gems within these digital cards that we should look for? Because sometimes you hide things in cards and you have to look for them.
Well, I can't say anything about that, Mary.
Oh, I might have just said something interesting. Okay.
You might have unearthed something.
I might have.
It's interesting if you think about it. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing now.
Stop sharing on the motorcycle guy with all the hair.
Kids don't drink and drive.
No.
Some of the cards that had the most value actually had some kind of imperfection. And for some reason, that created a lot of value to the card.
Right.
Or maybe they're controversial. like the schizophrenic card
Yeah.
that was part of Series 2. It was a little controversial because of the name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I mean, I guess that translates into the physical world as well, because when you have a card that's like perfect, and then you find an imperfection in there, makes it more valuable. So, I mean, it makes sense.
yeah, sometimes it's funny because some imperfections lower the value of the card. So, they have these rating systems like Beckett's, and, obviously a mint condition card, a mint condition atom bomb, for example, a
Mhm.
garbage pail kid card recently went for almost $10,000,
Oh
but it
my
was
God.
in perfect mint condition. I think it was a score out of 10. Um, so if it had a scuff or a corner that was a little bit, um, uneven, the value would actually go down. However, there are some cards where, maybe the printing was a little off and it was just a unique card, and collectors find value in that, or something that's controversial. So it really depends, on, again, it goes back to what collectors find valuable. If they find an imperfection valuable, then it'll become a popular card.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, as I'm just growing within this whole blockchain world, and again, my husband is the one who really got me into it. But I'm slightly a techie at heart, so I find all of these things fascinating. And I also find it really fascinating when I'm talking to someone and just the excitement in their voice about the project that they're working on. Even the excitement in your voice, talking about when you were a kid and collecting these cards, and now going to the digital space. And the reason why you chose Topps 2 years ago was because it had both of those elements. That makes me excited just to talk to someone that is equally as excited about what they're doing, and that's who you are right now.
Right. I almost feel like, this is not a job. I'm just kind of a kid doing some things that are really fun in a way.
Yeah, yeah. That's why athletes, and they have such a good time because they love what they do. They love playing the sport, right? So that's exactly what you're doing right now. Which, speaking of, did you play any sports when you were a kid?
I did. I played, kind of the standard sports, but football was my big one.
Yeah,
Really liked football, and did track, played a little basketball. I never really got into baseball for whatever reason, but
yeah. Do you foresee that possibly Topps could get into the NFL space and trading cards?
well, we were in the NFL space,
Yeah,
so we're not now, but we were. And so these licenses sometimes they change homes from time to
yep,
time, but
yep.
it's a great property.
Are you gonna try to get back into the NFL to trade?
Well, I love the NFL, so the answer is always yes for me.
Okay, so you're going to try to do that. So, I mean, obviously we have the NHL, which, by the way, the Lightning are playing tonight, and
I know.
we
Congratulations,
we're
congratulations.
one game away.
And
It's
I'm not a real big Islanders fan, but
yeah,
I have been watching the games, and I'm sorry,
pretty
I'm rooting
exciting.
for the Islanders, but it's going to look tough. Last night was, or the other night, I can't remember. It was a good save.
Right
I
before
thought we were
last,
going to
yeah,
be out.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. I'm looking at what's happening in Florida right now. So we've got the Rays the baseball team who are leading right now. We've got the hockey team, the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are one game away from going to the Cup. And then we didn't have such a good game with Brady, but super excited about Brady being our quarterback. But there's a lot of things that are happening in Tampa, which I'm super excited about. And I don't know if you know this, but years ago I used to cheer for the Bucks, so I'm a huge Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan.
Wow, that is really cool. Do you
Yeah.
know, that's interesting. I'll share that my brother ended up marrying a New England Patriots cheerleader.
Oh wow,
And so
super
we
cool.
always, it's funny because he's got a picture of her up in his, like his pool room. And
Nice.
people come in there and they say, "Hey, do you think that Nancy really appreciates you having like some cheerleader?" And yes, that is Nancy.
That is so funny. Yeah.
That's really cool.
So
That's a
yeah,
big
I,
deal.
I I love what you guys are doing. Honestly, I love the fact that you're in this digital space, that you're just trying to do more for everyone out there. That's pretty exciting, and I appreciate you sharing some of these news. So I'm going to ask you this question: if you had to ask yourself a question, what would that question be?
That is a very good question.
Yeah, a question within a question.
That's a good question. I think that one of the questions I would ask is, how do I see the development of our kind of existing mobile apps business ultimately, interacting with or merging with the blockchain space? Because, they're kind of two different businesses right now. And it's a question I ask myself actually all the time. That's why it's a good question to ask here. And the answer is I'm not quite sure, but I do think that over time, ultimately, they will kind of converge, and that maybe you'll access the blockchain in different ways through our mobile apps, and we'll blockchain enable those assets. So it'll be interesting to see how this all develops, but it's something I kind of wake up and ponder almost every day.
Yeah, I look at all this and it's almost like, I don't know, the wild, wild west, if you will. And it takes me back to, I guess when, now I'm dating myself, but when cell phones first came out, you had the big battery pack that you would wear over here. And then there were some people that couldn't afford, to have cell phones. And then it just grew and it became this. And then also the dot coms, when dot coms, that was just completely crazy. And when Facebook came out, or the internet came out too, I remember seeing some videos of some of these big high level guys right now, these executives being in their garage and talking about the internet and all that stuff. Like I said, I'm dating myself. But it's amazing how this is like the wild wild west. It's changing, and it's growing for the better. It's really exciting, some of the things that are happening. A lot of people don't understand it, but when they do, oh my gosh, watch out! It's just going to be insane.
Absolutely, and if you look at a lot of those big technology shifts, it didn't start off smoothly in most cases. I mean, the internet had a big bubble and then crashed. And everybody said, "Oh, everything's bad." But people that really stuck with it, ultimately built great businesses there. And that also happened with mobile games, by the way. So when we first started, everybody had those feature phones, the flip phones, and it was very promising, but also very difficult for a lot of
What
different
was that?
reasons.
The StarTAC, the flip phone?
Something like that, the mobile those things. I mean, I guess they look cool, but
Yeah,
anyway, people went through a very difficult time then too, but then the iPhone came along, and then the business became bigger than ever. But there's always a difficult period where everybody's trying to figure out the technology, they're trying to figure out the business models. And that's kind of, I think, where we are in blockchain, and kind of the messages. And sometimes it's tough, but you got to kind of just stick with it,
yeah,
because it's going to get there. It's
yeah.
just, there are a lot of things to work out in the meantime.
Yeah, I believe we will. I really, the more I just look into it, the more that I see. So I really appreciate everything that you guys are doing again for the community, the creation, so creative, more and more items that are coming out. And I appreciate you sharing a lot of what's going on with Tops and your journey. One last question. Shake a crystal ball. Where are you in 5 years?
Well, hopefully I'm still at Tops. But I think, hopefully our business is, again, our vision is to build the biggest community of digital collectible traders in the world. And that's where I'd like to be, and have this community where people come together and trade and connect with each other over these cool properties. And probably a lot of that will be on blockchain at that time. So,
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go ahead and share a lot of the links on websites and everything else, all of your information for anybody who's listening. I truly, truly appreciate you talking to me today. And I hope that I covered as much as possible. Is there anything that you can think of that you would like to share with my listeners?
not at this time, Mary, but I can tell you, if you want to have me back when I have other things to share, I'm certainly willing to come back.
I would love it. Thank you so much. I know you're such a busy guy because, again, what you're trying to create out there for everyone in the digital space. But I really appreciate you coming on here because your time is limited. But so thank you for sharing your time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Good talking to you.
Good talking to you too.
Okay.
So as always, I appreciate everybody tuning into my channel. I want to thank Tobin Lent so much for coming on and sharing his story, sharing his vision on what's happening at Tops. And as always, you heard it here on the Blockchain Herd.